Hi everyone in English 2323, it's Dr. E and I'm here with your week 8 instructional video. I wanted to start by telling you how much I appreciate your flexibility, your willingness to kind of change things up last week given how I was feeling. Thanks for your well wishes. On the mend, I'm probably going to have to stop quite a few times to cough, but I'm getting there, so I hope you are all doing well also. So this week's video, I'm just going to do the usual where to go, what to do, but some reminders and information along the way that I think will prove helpful. So let's just get right to it. All right, so I want to kind of offer the reminder that in the content area, there are quite a few modules that are helpful. So we have the Get Started, the Get Started module, which has the syllabus, the calendar, course FAQs, just at a glance if you want some information. But additionally, on the left-hand side, we have information about the book, student success. So if you are looking for, cat in the way, if you are looking for some information on that, or if you want to reach out to me because you're experiencing something that's affecting your ability to be successful in the class, then by all means, please do so. We have the D2L and tech area. So the Virtual Learning Assistance Center, I can't stress enough, is a great thing to bookmark, especially if you're taking all online courses, because here on the left-hand side, it's just everything you might need as a student in general, but an online student certainly. All right, we also have in the D2L and Tech Help area just links to all the information, how to set up notifications. This is one I really stress, if you have not done so already, please do so, because anytime things change or if I want to offer a reminder, I will post there and you can get a text message that lets you know, because sometimes you're maybe logging in from a different place or you're using the Pulse app. Make sure that any way you're accessing D2L, you're going to the announcements first just to kind of double check anything. All right, so back to the table of contents. Excuse me, I'm going to pause to cough for 1 second. All right, and there's also the syllabus, schedule of rubrics for all of our assignments. We have kind of the breakdown of information here. So let's go ahead and hit week 8. So for this week, you're going to finish The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and you're going to really start making connections between The Speckled Band by Arthur Conan Doyle to Stevenson's short story that y'all are finishing up this week. So make sure that you're keeping those things in mind as you're moving through the reading. You're watching that instructional video, and I've moved this video up 1 week, the MLA video, and it is based on English 1301, but it's still relevant, and that's because when I'm going through and I'm grading those written responses, it's just a good bit of information to review, and I offer examples. It's from a different semester, so my hair looks a little different, but it's still something that I think is really useful, and students have said in the past that it is, so why not? You're going to view your written response feedback. I'm still working on some of those. I'm grading them as they were turned in, so if you turned it in just a little bit later, keep an eye out for that. No later than Tuesday at noon, everybody's will be available, but hopefully before then, just working to finish some of those up. And you have your participation quiz. So you have a league post that's due on Thursday, your quiz on Sunday. You don't have to respond to one another in your post for this week, but it's nice. It's nice for everybody to know that people are out there reading your ideas, aside from me, right? And then you're going to submit a reflection about your written response assignment. Okay, and those are all due on Sunday. So here, number 1 is what you're watching right now, and then the MLA video. To review, this is how to view feedback. I'm going to cough just 1 second. Sorry about that. So this is a link to give you some direction on how to view feedback and turn it in if you haven't done so before, but it is pretty specific to our class. So you'll go to the course activities area, click on the assignment section. You'll see your assignment here, so it'll be written response. Do not click here. This is what you actually submitted. You won't see anything there, so don't make that mistake, which a lot of times students do. You're going to go to this area and click on the hyperlink here, and then you'll click on View, Turn It In, Grade Mark Feedback. I don't know why you have to click so many times to get there, but it is what it is, right? So when you click on that, if you haven't already, you'll be asked to agree to the terms of Turn It In. Don't worry about, just accept. You should not have You should not be required to use any login information. It should just take you directly to your paper after you agree to those terms. On the right-hand side, you'll see this list of kind of icons. So automatically the red icons should be highlighted, and this is for information taken from other sources. So if you use a quote, then that quote should be highlighted in red. And the only time you should be concerned about that is if you don't have the quotation marks or you're not properly following MLA formatting guidelines. Another thing that may be highlighted is the title of something, your heading, because those are things that have appeared in various other things, either in Turnitin or just out there in the world. So the only time you should be concerned about those red numbers or those things that are highlighted is if you're not properly following MLA formatting guidelines, which 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna make note of that, so you'll know. But once you take a look at those red things, you can click the red button. It's right here. It's kind of hidden by my circle, and that will take away all those highlights. And then click the blue icon and the purple icon to make sure that those are selected. And then you'll see blue comments, and those are directly from me. And then the purple comments are coming from Turnitin, and those are typically about grammar, surface level kinds of things. So just make sure that you are seeing blue and you are seeing purple, because if you're not, then you're not seeing any of that feedback that is necessary. All right, so that's kind of the how-to. Excuse me. Additionally, if you want to go back to Arthur Conan Doyle's biography or the short story, those are here, in addition to, Stevenson's, which is in our book. Because this discussion for this week is going to be based on some connections you find between Conan Doyle's work and Stevenson's. So you're going to work on some comparing and contrasting. And I put, it adheres more to the expectations of essay writing than we've perhaps done in the past. The expectations are that we're kind of digging into that literary analysis. You are submitting something in a discussion board that you would essentially turn in as a written, typed up assignment. So it needs to be edited, revised, all of that. It doesn't need an MLA header, heading, any of that kind of stuff. It just needs to be as revised as possible. Okay, so we don't want to just start the process of randomly connecting ideas between the two texts or characters or biographies. So I'm offering kind of choose one of these topics, right? So that you can have some direction. So the first is, focus on time periods. How did the time period for both of the texts impact the authors and what they wrote? So I put, it's good to bring in information from the section on the Victorian era to support your ideas, because anytime you offer a bit of information that's outside of common knowledge, things that everybody would know, you need to cite a source. So if you're citing something from that Victorian era chapter that you learned, you need to make sure you're citing it, right? Okay, and that's, you would credit Greenblatt, right, in the in-text citation. The next option is the author lives and influences. So how did the author's lives impact their stories, and how do we know, right? So we need to go to those biographies. And give proper credit for that. So a lot of times when people talk about biographies, they'll say something like, Stevenson was born in da-da-da, in the year da-da-da, and I'm going, where did you learn that, right? That's not common knowledge. Not everybody knows that. So again, you have to really cite those sources that you're picking up along the way from the things that we're reading. The last option is the literary terminology. So I put some links here to the Purdue OWL, and so you have one option that asks you to focus on characterization and imagery as topics, and then the other is imagery and types of narrative. So you have 3 options to choose from, only select one. And then I put, note that when you write a compare and contrast essay, you want to give equal space to both texts, right? So Stevenson's work is probably the most recently on your mind because we're finishing it up this week. So you don't want a majority of your post to be about Stevenson, right? So that it becomes very lopsided. Most of it's about Stevenson and then a little bit at the end about Conan Doyle's work. You want to make it even. And so that one way to adhere to this kind of expectation is that I've required 4 paragraphs. We usually do about 3, but 4 makes it pretty easy because then you can have 2 paragraphs on the author and text, 2 paragraphs on the author and text, or whatever topics it is that you choose. Maybe a paragraph on imagery, a paragraph on narrative, then, so it makes it a bit easier in terms of the compare and contrast setup, right? So if you want to apply characterization or image, so these are just examples. Just read through this as kind of a way to get you going. Strive for 4 to 5 paragraphs with supporting quotes in each. And I put, remember that the quotes are really there to support your ideas. I'm seeing in a lot of written responses, not necessarily for our class, that the quotes are really kind of guiding your writing. You, the common you, not you specifically in this class. But we want to, in academic writing, those quotes are supposed to just support our ideas. So don't start paragraphs with quotes, don't end paragraphs with quotes, because then they lead your ideas, versus you have a strong topic sentence and then a quote within that paragraph is just supporting what you have established as that topic for that paragraph. So just some things to think about. And I put here, because I'm asking a little bit more of you in this assignment, you have until Saturday. It is due on Thursday, but you have until Saturday to submit that. And then your reflection and quiz are due on Sunday. So if we go back to week 8, I'm going to pause to call. So sorry. Then you have your writing reflection assignment. And so this is in a form. And so this is what the form looks like. You just completed after thoroughly viewing the feedback from me. And I put, if you did not submit the original work that is required for that written response, then now you need to submit it. This is what you will submit this week, because that is work we will eventually use in our portfolio. So if you didn't submit it, now's the time. And so I put the prompt here, and that would be your grade. All right. I do want to mention just a few things before I let you go. And the first is that why not use Grammarly? It's a tool to help if you have not. This is what it does. It offers you a kind of editor as you write. It's not perfect. It's not going to catch everything, just like the Microsoft Word grammar and spelling check feature won't. But Grammarly is more intensive than the Microsoft features. So why not use those tools that are available to you? Especially because it will catch some of those surface level things I may have noted in your written response feedback. I put together some information for my 1301 classes, but for our written responses, some of them apply, especially when it comes to the feedback. Like, it is not personal. I know that when you are writing, there's an element of feeling vulnerable or judged. So when you see my feedback, know that it is not meant in a tone of negativity or in a tone of these are all the things you did wrong. It's in a tone of, here's some information that I hope helps, right? Here's some information that for future writing can be significant, right? And so my feedback is meant in that spirit, right? And it's not exhaustive. So I'm not going to point out every single little minute thing in your writing. If I mention that you need to adjust the period placement in your quote in one area, then you need to do it for all those areas where you may have misplaced that period. I'm not going to know every single one of those. You are the ultimate editor. And when it comes to grammar, it's the same thing. I'm not going to know every single comma, every single thing. That's why Grammarly can be helpful too. Okay, so this is for 1301. Topic sentences, super important. Like I was talking about before, don't start with quotes. Sometimes that works. I'm not discounting that practice overall, but it's a crutch that we use when we write that we need to kind of move away from, because our topic sentences should let our reader know what that paragraph is about, and that quote is just supporting our ideas. And we need to be picky about the quotes. Choose relevant, useful, brief quotes, not sentence after sentence after sentence, right? All right. So our goal with the reading is to make sure that our audience starts from the very first sentence and breathes smoothly through to the very last sentence without stopping and going back and being confused because maybe there's a grammar issue, or maybe something has not been quoted properly, so it's confusing on, is this your idea? Is this your source's idea? That's our ultimate goal. When you use quotes, you want to introduce, explain, and credit them. And I put, sometimes I will rework a sentence for you, and feel free to use that word for word. That's not plagiarism if I'm giving you that suggestion. Use the template, download Grammarly, and I want you to make sure you're taking time with the feedback. This is a little thing I hate with Turnitin. This does not mean you are missing quotation marks. It means you're missing a comma. So make sure you're clicking on those bubbles to see what they mean. And you've got this. Thank you. Have a great week.